You about ready to go, Miss Drew?
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Patriot High School's community webinar for students who will be attending school in person, which is the majority of our students. This evening, you'll be hearing from Dr. Bishop and a couple of the administrators on our team. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Bishop to everybody.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Bishop, principal at Patriot High School. I am hopeful that you are able to hear me and see me. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a button that says Q&A. That is where you can post your questions that you have throughout the presentation. One of the members of the administrative team will make sure that they answer those questions. And as well, we have enabled the transcription so that you can see it at the bottom of the screen. This is a view and listen meeting. If your question does not get answered tonight, we will try to make sure we update the FAQ on the same page where you registered for the webinar. The information will be posted there. The chat and this meeting are recorded for future use. Actually, the Q&A and the video are recorded for future use so that we can make sure that you have that. So as we go forward today, we want to make sure that what we're presenting is the Prince William County School Board's approved plan for moving forward. Back in the spring, you made a selection of in-person or virtual learning, and then the virtual learning options will be provided by Virtual Virginia or Virtual Prince William. We're going to cover that information tonight, as well as what the in-person learning looks like. I want you to understand, not everything is perfect. If this situation has taught us anything, it's that we have to be able to turn on a dime and try to find a way to make adjustments. My number one goal is to keep the end in mind. And the end in mind is that I want the students in this year's class to graduate on time. That's the class of 2022. And I want the kids in the classes behind them in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade to have a great high school experience. We have some things we have to correct and some things we have to adjust, but we will do our best to make sure this is a positive and productive year. I'd like to introduce the members of our administrative team. Not everyone is here this evening, but this is the members of the team. Obviously, that picture up there on the left is somewhat older, so I keep using it because it makes me look young. But Stephanie Bretsky is our assistant principal. She's not here this evening. Mrs. Dolores Lucas is. She will be answering your questions in the Q&A. You've met Mrs. Drew, member of the administrative team. Mr. Van Gelder is one of our assistant principals. Joining us shortly will be Mr. Brown. He had to drop his daughters off for a team event. And then the other members of the team include Mr. Qualls, our director of student activities, Ms. Snoots, our director of school counseling, our new head of security. We're very happy that Mr. Murphy was able to return to us. He was an assistant here under Mr. Lavely several years back. He has been the director of security at Eastern View High School in Culpeper County, and we were able to convince him to come back to Patriot where he belongs. Katie Moore is in charge of our specialty programs, and our new ITC is Megan Weiss. So they're all part of the administrative team. Very happy to be at Patriot, and we're looking forward to a great year. A lot of you may have read about this, but just to make sure that you've seen it, Patriot High School celebrates its 10th anniversary. Yes, 10 years ago, this month coming up, we were getting ready to open. We opened in September of 2011. We will celebrate those events on the 10th of September. There's a parade at 5 o'clock. There's a carnival from 5:30 to 6:30. There's a Taste of the Town event, and then pre-game recognitions and halftime recognitions to include recognition of former members of our band and former members of our choir. And then on Saturday, if you want to participate, there is a Heroes 5K fun run in the morning and a show and shine car show, from 10 o'clock to 3 p.m. I'm going to turn it over here to Ms. Drew. She's going to tell you about back to school night and some other information that goes along with it.
All right, great, thank you. If you guys could all mark your calendar for September 20th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are going to have our back to school night. We're going to provide you with a lot of information about what that evening will entail, but that will be forthcoming. So please make sure you have that on your calendar. More important upcoming events, new student orientation. This is for our freshmen, but also our sophomores who never came into the building. That will be on Friday, August 20th, next Friday, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. And those students who actually requested transportation will be provided transportation to the event. They will also get to walk their schedules and meet their teachers. And then there will be an information session afterwards where students can collect some information about the upcoming school year. Device distribution dates are still happening. We have one on the 12th this week from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. and then another one next week on the 19th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. If you have a student who needs to get a parking pass, you can show up at the school from 10 a.m. to 2 o'clock in between now and next Friday and ask to see Mr. Murphy. After school starts, students can find him in his security office. And the first day of school is a little bit early this year, but it's on August 23rd. For device distribution, we sent out an email today that has links for signing up for receiving a device. So you would sign up for a date using that link, and you will get an email back that has the device agreement for you to sign and bring in when you collect your device. And that's basically saying that you are responsible for the device and you will return it. Students and parents will complete that and show up with the form completed to get the device. The student must be present to pick up a student device, and the device agreement must match the student ID number. In order to pick it up, the reason we need students to be present for that is so they can log into the machine and go ahead and validate the credentials. All right.
Okay, so picking it up here, one of the things that the new superintendent, Dr. McDade, wanted everybody to understand is we're going to get back to normal as much as we can in pre-pandemic operations. Normal is still a little bit of a word to be defined because there will be adjustments and corrections that are made. There are no minimum physical distancing requirements. You are not required to get a COVID-19 vaccination, but there are other immunizations that students have to have, which are required. And when you registered your student, if you are new to the building, those pieces of information were provided to you. Indoor masking is required for all students in most situations when students are present. And we're going to go over a little bit of that here in a minute. But the main thing to remember is that we're going to do the very best that we can. I cannot predict the future, and I am not able to prevent everything from happening. We're going to do the best that we can. And we're going to make sure that we can make kids as safe as possible. All students will be issued a laptop on their first day. We're going to make sure that every kid gets breakfast and lunch as best they can. I'm out of order, aren't I, Mr. Students are going to eat in the commons following pre-pandemic capacity. Now, what you need to know is that prior to this year, we had about 2,800 kids in the building on a daily basis. This year, we have a little over 2,300. As a result, the capacity of the lunchroom, which is still about 850 kids, is reduced significantly, and we will not have to have 850 seats in one place. We have a little over 500, and we have two commons. For those of you that don't know, Commons 1 holds about 300 kids, and Commons 2 can hold about 200 kids. So there should be plenty of spacing to make sure kids are comfortable. You do not have to wear your mask when you're eating, but the idea here is that I wanted you to understand what is going to happen. Our buses will run at full capacity, and as many of you know right now, you must wear a mask on a school bus. Transportation bus schedules will be released around August 17th, and elementary schedules are published in Parent and Student View on the 18th, and our secondary schedules are published in Parent and Student View on the 20th. Those are estimated dates. Obviously, technology issues could prevent that from happening on time. We want to make sure that we provide that to you. Every student will be provided with a laptop by or on the first day. If you haven't got yours yet, like we said, there's dates you can come pick it up. I can even get it to you during the first week of school. It's not a problem if you've been on vacation or you've been out of the country. If you need at-home internet service, I can make that available to you. You just need to call the main office and we can make sure that that gets provided. There is a low-cost optional insurance, which is available for all families for the student laptop damage or loss. I would encourage all of you to take advantage of this. It is $40 and it covers any damage to the student's laptop. There was a form sent out, which looks very similar to this, and it has the information. It's actually $32.95. I misquoted myself. It is called Security. It's an insurance for tomorrow, and it covers accidental damage, flood, fire, vandalism. The cost to replace one of our laptops is about $900, so it's well worth the $33 to take advantage. And that information is available on our webpage, and it has come home in a couple of emails. I will make sure it comes home again. All of our students and staff are going to use Canvas this year. It will not be used in the way that it was last year. There is no concurrent instruction, meaning the teacher will not be teaching to those who are sitting at home and sitting in the classroom. Everybody will be sitting in the classroom. So the laptop will be used for research or for an activity or for completing a task. It will not be used to watch the instruction. If you are a virtual student, that would be a little bit different. We're going to talk to them in the second webinar tonight. But essentially what you need to understand is that last year's concurrent instruction, and you could stay at home and watch the instruction from your room, will not happen this year. Okay, so want to make sure that we're real clear about that. The hub will continue to be used by all students, and families will be completing a new school year packet with emergency cards and emergency forms online via the hub. I do want you to understand that we have asked the company that provides us with Canvas to disable the feature in Canvas that lets grades appear there and grades appear in parent view, so that they only appear in one place, because that was an issue that we had last year. Okay. What do I got next, Ms. Drew? All right. Virginia state law, SB 1303, requires that all schools follow the CDC guidelines to the fullest extent possible for masking. Right now, the CDC says that masking must take place inside. And so therefore, we're going to make sure that we provide this mitigation for staff and students when physical distancing is not possible. We're going to try and remove the disruption to the educational environment, and we're going to try and provide time for vaccines to become available at all ages. Hopefully this reduces the potential impacts to staffing due to employee illness or quarantine. If there is a situation that arises, we follow the CDC protocol and the Prince William County Public Schools protocol for identifying close contacts and providing information. There are some changes coming to that, and we'll make sure that you're aware of those, but again, they have not been finalized. And then the last thing I need to show you here, these are the basic ideas behind masking right now. This is a chart from the school division. Indoor students are present. You're fully vaccinated, you still have to mask. Unvaccinated, you definitely have to mask. On the school bus, the answer is yes. Indoors, you do not have to mask up because you got to eat. Indoor PE, the answer is yes. Outdoor PE, the answer is no. Indoors athletics, no. It's recommended for unvaccinated folks. It's also recommended for fans. Indoors in chorus, yes, we will. Indoors woodwind and brass instruments, no right now, but we will make sure that we have the covers that go on the woodwind and brass instruments, which prohibits the expulsion of spit and other bacteria. And then indoors, there's no students present. The idea is if you're fully vaccinated, the answer is no. And then indoors at central offices. Exceptions for a person who cannot wear a mask include those identified by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA. 42 U.S. Code 12101 is the exact section. And then teachers working with early learners or English learners or students who receive speech language services where the teacher's mouth must be seen in order to provide instructional delivery, there is an exception there. We can make plexiglass available if it's needed, but essentially these are the guidelines from Prince William County Public Schools. All right, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to who, Ms. Drew? Mr. Van Gelder? All right, Mr. Van Gelder is one of our assistant principals. He's been with us since the beginning. At one point, he was our band director, and now he is a member of the administrative team, and I'll turn it over to him.
All right, good evening, everyone. So we're going to take a look just for a moment at comparing last year to this year. Last year, you may remember we started 2 weeks late. We were still working to get our technology in order, Canvas up and running, Zoom, all of that. We actually started in mid-September last year. Adjustments were made throughout the year continually with possible returns on certain days of the week, or maybe even a 4-day return. Your flexibility as families in our community, we can't say thank you enough. We know that that was difficult for everybody. And we're hoping that this year is going to provide quite a bit more stability for everybody, students, teachers, and parents as well. There was some lost learning, and we understand that that's a real issue. There wasn't the same amount of instructional time. We recognize that. Conversations are certainly being had with all of our content area teachers to make sure that we're shoring up any areas of concern. But we would ask you to also be a part of that conversation. Reach out to your child's teacher if they're in a math class and you have concerns about maybe something in math or in science, and let us know, English, any of the classes. Also last year, you'll remember that we had, if you're a returning student to Patriot, Monday programs, AP Saturday sessions, a lot of tutoring and support opportunities for our students, not just academic, but also emotional support opportunities. Some positive things that came out of the closure was the addition of some of these supports. So if we look ahead, now let's look forward to this year. We're gonna have a full school year. In fact, we're really starting what feels like pretty early this school year. We're 5 days a week in person. which is awesome. And so, we're back to how school was maybe when we went to school, and certainly when our kids were in school a couple of years ago. So Monday is no longer an asynchronous day. Monday is an in-person learning day like it used to be. Masks are required. We've talked about that a little bit. Remember, our mask guidance comes to us from the local and the state level. That's not a Patriot thing. That's guidance coming to us. So we appreciate everybody's compliance with that. Clearly defined classroom and building expectations. So we recognize that a lot of our students haven't been in a classroom for months, years. So it's been a little while. Some of our students have never been in Patriot High School, and that can be daunting. And part of helping students feel better about all that is to have clear expectations. So that first week of school, teachers are going to be talking to kids quite a bit about the basics, what do you need to do if you have to go to the bathroom? What do you have to do? Well, I hope the kids know some of that, but, if they have to be excused from class, things like that. So, I think it's just important that the kids know that it's okay to ask questions, and, we're going to try to help clarify with the best information we have. This year, we're so excited. Sports and activities are happening. Today, the marching band was outside with band camp and sports. The kids, the student athletes were, at the school and doing it. And, I'm really happy to see them out there. If your student is not participating in an activity or sport at this time, there's opportunities all school year. So we're going to be having a, activities fair so they can learn in September what activities are going to be available to them. Sports, we'll make sure that information gets to them. It's certainly on our website. We want your children participating in activities at Patriot. So, and as I said before, some of our support opportunities, our academic supports, our emotional supports for our students from last year, while we won't necessarily have certain programs or they may not look the same, we're still going to have opportunities for our students to get the support that they need. And so, as I said at the beginning of this, if you're seeing, if you have concerns, your best step is to reach out to a teacher first or your child's administrator. So let's see, I think on the next slide, I'll just briefly show you the bell schedule. So this is our anticipated bell schedule. I just want to note before I run through this, the first week of school may look a little different. We want to build in some extra time for our students to feel comfortable getting from class to class, navigating the building. We understand it's going to be a little a little challenging that first couple of days, especially as our ninth graders and a lot of our 10th graders may have never been in our building, or at least not much. And so, we want to make sure that that first week we really lay good groundwork. This schedule you see in front of you, you can snap a picture if you want. But what you see here is first block meets every day. That's going to be for 60 minutes, regardless if it's even or odd. That's 1 hour. And then you have an even day. So they'll go 2, 4, 6 periods, or blocks 2, 4, 6, or an odd day. They'll go from first block to 3, 5, 7. And you'll see that the subsequent blocks that are every other day, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7 are a little longer. Traditional school year, we would have lunch during the middle of the day, and 10:15 to 12:30 is pretty much right where lunch normally is in a traditional school year. So that falls back in line. And we have, 4 lunch shifts, which again is somewhat standard. And so there you have it. That's going to be our rough schedule. Again, that first week, you'll get that next week, or at the end of this week, I believe, just a rough sketch of that first week and how that might be just a little bit different to help support our students as they're coming in. One thing I want to say, I've been away from the Q&A for the last couple of minutes while I've been talking here. There is a lot of repeat questions about, does my child need a school device? Why can't they use their own personal device? Your child can use their personal device. Our only recommendation is, it's a lot of transport. I have children myself, and the laptop we bought them from home is pretty nice. It's a lot for the kids to bring their laptop back and forth every day. Connection to the internet. We can't really troubleshoot personal devices that well. We can't get in there and really dig deep. School devices, we can absolutely do that. And so those are reasons we would encourage you to get a school device, but that's a family decision. I mean, you're gonna have to decide for yourself, but that's one that came up a bit. So have a good evening. I'm gonna turn it back over to Dr. Bishop.
And the other thing we need to remember is that the internet in all the buildings in Prince William County was upgraded this year, and there is no guest network. So your own personal device from home may not work on the guest network. So that's why we would encourage you to get one. If you have one to work on from home and you don't need one during the day, we're fine with that. The other thing I want you to make sure you remember is we're going to continue to send home information and communication. We sent home a letter this past Friday. We'll send home another one this Friday. And then every day, the first day of school year, I send you information about what happened that day and making sure that you're in the loop as to what's going on in the building. So we'll continue to do that. There are folks on here who may be attending virtual high school. We have a very small percentage of students who signed up for virtual high school. There are two means by which you can be served. One is from Virtual Virginia, which starts on August 24th, and one is from Virtual Prince William. There could be local-based school activities at Patriot. There are not. There are other schools in the county where there are virtual sections. However, there are none here. And concurrent will not be used unless it's in a very limited circumstance at another building. Right now, as far as I know, we have no plans to do that. If you're in a self-contained special education class or to meet the needs of English learners, there's a company called Proximity Learning where the teachers are virtual and they've been assigned to those students. That information will be shared with those people shortly. And then some classes, it's just not possible to teach in a virtual environment. Carpentry, plumbing, electrical, it's very difficult for those kids to do virtually, especially the hands-on requirement. Cosmetology, welding, it's just impossible for those classes. And so therefore the board made that decision early in the spring. Our base school here, Patriot, we're going to remain responsible for providing services for any EL students who are virtual and any IEP related services, as well as counseling and computers. This is a typical virtual high school schedule. You can see that it is not asynchronous. There are specific times which the student must log in and get online in order to provide instruction from the teacher. This is actually their schedule B, which starts 8/24. Their schedule A starts tomorrow. As far as I know, none of our students are enrolled in that. But essentially, on a Monday, you can see you'd have English or language arts in the morning, math and science. You'd get a lunch break at 12:30, and then you have social studies, world languages, and your AP class or PE or EPF or an elective. On Friday, you can see there's a support group 1-to-1 and small group from 8 to 2. And then there's a synchronous support group from 4 to 8 p.m. And that's what a virtual high school look like at Virtual Virginia. Virtual Prince William is run by Prince William County staff. And Miss Drew is going to drop a couple of things into the chat. Is that where we're going to put them, Ms. Drew? We're going to put them online. The information about the handbook for Virtual Virginia.
We are going to need to put those online.
Okay,
I am providing it in the chat in the virtual session.
We'll post those online for you if you need to see them. There's grading protocol and other information that's available. The one thing, if you're signed up for Virtual Prince William, those classes run in semester. All right, so the class is for the first semester or the second semester, but it runs almost every day. And the information about that can be found on that website, virtualhs.pwcs.edu. And if you have specific questions, you can email the coordinator, Mr. Brett Hellman at hellmanbw@pwcs.edu. And we're going to turn it over here to Mr. Brown. Is he online with us?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
All right, Mr. Brown's going to take care of information about transportation, folks. Mr. Brown joined us 2 years ago as an administrative intern. He was promoted this past year to assistant principal, and we're very happy we were able to keep him around. He does a great job for us. So take it away, Mr. Brown.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Transportation for this school year. All students that are riding a bus must wear a mask. Bus drivers may have a very limited supply to provide should a student forget. But again, that is a limited supply. Students are expected to bring their own mask on the bus. Bus routes will be available the week prior to school beginning. There are people reaching out now to find out about specific bus routes or provide certain scenarios to see what kind of support they can receive. While I certainly want to help you with these things, until bus routes are established, I'm not able to provide much insight. So if you have questions after the publishing of the routes by the transportation department, do feel free to connect with me. I will be able to help you out. The link down below that you can see, that is the Find My Bus tool. Once the school year begins, if you ever have a question about where a bus stop may be for whatever reason, you forgot yours or you just moved to another part of the area and need to find out where your bus stop would be, you can plug your information into there and it will display the routes that exist and the buses that exist for that particular location. For the first week of school, there will be plenty of staff outside to support students in getting on and off the buses, as well as answering any questions about where the buses are parked and things of that nature. One thing that does come up periodically during the year is that Folks want to have their child ride home on a bus with another child. Should you find yourself in that position, please send a note to the school that's signed. We can verify with you via phone call and make sure that your child's able to get on that alternate bus. But we do have to have some sort of confirmation before we let a student onto a different bus other than their own. For the first several days, of course, with all the students learning new buses and new locations for those buses in the parking lot, we do hold them up, so they do leave a little bit later than we normally have them. However, during the school year, once we get everybody established, we want to get those buses moving as soon as possible. So we'll make announcements to remind students not to dilly-dally in the hallways so we can get them all moving on home. Now, we have a sample student schedule. It will be visible to you in parent view and student view about a week prior to school beginning. You'll be able to see the format, block, course, teacher, and room number. As Mr. Van Gelder alluded to earlier with the schedule, we have first period each day. Even and odd days, even days are composed of the first period, second period, fourth period, and sixth period. Odd days are first, third, fifth, and seventh. You can see it's lined up there. We have second period, your English class with Miss Scott and room 1118, so on and so forth. So it makes it a little bit easier, and we will have staff in the hallways to support students in finding these classrooms if it's necessary.
All right, and then I will take over from here, Mr. Brown. Thank you so much. And just so you know, all of the links that are in this presentation will be sent out with the information about virtual learning. So in each of your classes, when your student shows up, they will receive a syllabus, and that syllabus will identify any supplies or necessary materials that students might need, any associated course fees, standards and content information. So this is where students will see what information is going to be covered in the class, office hours or available times for help, the unit plan for the year, a summary of the order of units for the year. And then all teachers will be including some information about how they grade and their assessment practices. One of the things that you will expect to see for those of you who are new to Patriot, we use the terms formative and summative assessments in our grade books. And that's just to show whether it's an assignment that is for learning or an assignment that is to assess of learning. So basically it'll be, our summative assignments are more heavily weighted. So the teachers will explain how those work in their classes. All teachers will be using Canvas, and that will serve the purpose of basically providing class materials. All teachers will provide class materials through the Canvas format. All due dates will be on Canvas, and each teacher will determine whether they use Canvas for submitting assignments or assessments or not. So that'll be dependent on the teacher, but due dates and materials will be there. So any student who has to miss school will be able to access the materials and information about what they've missed. All of the Canvas classes will be streamlined to have the same basic format this year. So that way students have a familiarity with where they need to go in each class. We have turned off the grading function in Canvas so that students will not see grades in Canvas, but they will be able to see if an assignment has been submitted successfully, if teachers are requiring them to do so. All right, Dr. Bishop, you are up.
All right, so this is my last part here. We're going to finish up in a minute. So one of the things that we understand is that students who experienced the pandemic with us last year may have not done as well as they wanted to. And this year, this summer, we actually have identified students who need support in 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Shortly, an administrator will be reaching out to those families to offer them an afternoon pathways program to remain on target. If the student failed a course or if the student needs a graduation requirement, the first priority we're going to look at is 12th graders. And we're going to make sure all of our 12th graders are on target to get their diploma in the spring. Last year, we had some students in a similar situation, and we had about 70 at the middle of the school year, and we ended up with none, and everybody got a diploma and got through. So that's one of our goals, because that end result is what's the most important thing, to get that high school diploma. If you're one of those people who didn't do well last year, we're going to have support available for you. It's probably going to start about the middle of October to get these courses caught back up and to get the things recaptured that we lost. If there's support needed or tutoring needed, the teachers will make sure that they provide that information. But I want you to understand this support program is something new for us. This Pathways program, Mr. Brown is in charge, and he will make sure that he communicates that information to you. And it's probably going to be in the afternoon after school hours. We'll have more specifics for you as we get closer. The other side of that is for AP students. Last year, with the way AP courses were administered and with the way AP courses were tested, because most of it was virtual, the scores are not very good across the nation. Pretty much below par would be the best way that I would say that. So last year, Patriot was a part of a program called the National Math Science Institute, the NMSI grant, and we provided Saturday tutoring sessions, which were virtual. Students who came and participated in those Saturday tutoring sessions tended to do better than the kids who did not come to the tutoring sessions. So this year, along with 3 other high schools in Prince William County, we're going to provide those Saturday support sessions again. And what those Saturday support sessions do is they focus on the 7 or 8 main concepts that if you focus on those 7 or 8 main concepts, you can get a 3, 4, or 5 on an AP exam. If you get a 3, 4, or 5 on an AP exam, the chances of being awarded college credit are extremely high, and you can knock out college credits while you're in high school. So the idea being, if you show up for those AP support programs and you show up for that AP tutoring, you can do better. It's free and it's open to every AP student in Prince William County. Ms. Moore was in charge of it last year, and she will make sure that you get that information again in the fall. But the idea being that we want to bring our AP scores back to what should be the standard at Patriot High School. So in those 2 regards, I wanted to make sure you had that information up front. The last thing that I want to make sure is that we get a chance to take a pause here and see if there's any specific questions, Ms. Drew, that we need to answer live, or if everything in the Q&A has been answered.
A lot of people have been asking what happens if someone tests positive for COVID. And I just wanted everyone to know that we are awaiting the specific guidance for this school year. And as soon as we have that information, we will share it with the community. But everyone's just going to mask up and be safe. Otherwise,
in the past year, that protocol was that we would identify close contacts and let them know what had happened. However, with the fact that people could be vaccinated, or they could possibly go get themselves a PCR test, that could change because some guidance came from the CDC, but we have to wait for it to be codified in Prince William County regulation. So that's why she's not able to share with you what the exact policy is. All right, anything else there, Carla?
I'm just looking over here. There will be a recorded version of this meeting. All links will be available in the transcript as well for anyone who missed. And I think a lot of people are asking if you need to bring the device to school every day. It is a good idea because students will be able to access materials with their devices, and it eliminates a lot of the contact that would happen otherwise.
And like I responded to someone in the chat, not all of our classes require it, but the CTE classes, the computer science class, the Project Lead the Way class, all of those are delivered on computer. You don't have to have your own laptop, but you might need it for another class. Plus, it allows you to get into and log into anything in the building. So my suggestion is to bring it. You do not have to do so if you don't want to, but it makes things easier. All right. So the last part I want you to understand here is that, there's a lot of challenges ahead in this school year. We're going to work together as much as we possibly can to make sure our students have a great start to the school year, regardless of the situation. The number one thing that you can do is reach out to the teacher. How you word that email and what you say in that email are just as important as the message that you're trying to get across. And in human nature is to be, I want to defend myself if I'm given an email that's kind of mean and nasty. And I know we've all done that. We've all sent one of those. I would ask you, please, this year to make sure those emails that you send, read it before you send it. Okay. Read it before you send it, because the person on the other end may not see it the way that you do. I know you want to protect your kids. I want to protect your kids. There are thousands of graduates who've graduated from Patriot High School in the last 10 years. I'm happy for every single one of them. I want this year's class to have a great experience as well. And I want all of our kids to be safe. We will do the best that we possibly can. We may not be the best on any particular day, but we'll try to make it up to you and try to see what we can do to correct any issues that we have. We are human beings, and we're going to make sure that we do the best that we can. I would encourage you to sign up for notifications from Canvas. There is a way to sign up in Canvas so that you don't get notifications from all 7 classes every day. And Miss Weiss is going to publish a video which shows you how to do that. You can combine everything so you get 1 notification per day. And we will obviously have more information forthcoming. I thank you for being here tonight. I know that a lot of you gave up time or made sure that you're logged in from your cell phone. We appreciate that. We tried to answer as many questions as we could in the chat. We'll try to make sure that we post an FAQ document when this is all done. It takes a day or so for this video to be processed through the cloud server that we use, and we will post a recorded version as soon as it's available. I'm going to turn my screen off. We'll leave the chat, the Q&A open for another 2 or 3 minutes, and about 7:45, we're going to turn it off so that we can get on to our next one, which starts at 8. Thank you all for attending. Appreciate your time at Patriot High School, and hopefully I will see you in person at some point this year. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.